I built a road on my own land. It wasn't fancy, just a gravel path winding through trees, connecting my driveway, barn, and workshop. A project I poured weekends into, my hands covered in dirt, sweat dripping, the sun beating down. Then the letters came. You are in violation of HOA rules. A fine of $185 has been assessed. Stop using your road immediately. I laughed, my own land, and they want to charge me to use it. The HOA president even showed up, clipboard in hand, eyes blazing, claiming I was violating community standards and needed permits. She called the cops, threatened fines, and tried to intimidate me. But here's the thing, she didn't know me. She didn't know I wasn't paying a dime, and she had no idea the showdown she had just started, because sometimes a simple road becomes a battle for your rights, your property, and your freedom. It all began on a crisp early morning, the kind where the sun glinted off the leaves and the quiet of the neighborhood made every sound feel sharper. I had been planning it for months, a simple gravel road running through my property. Not fancy, not extravagant, just functional. A direct path from the driveway to the barn and workshop at the back of my land. I spent weekends working on it, leveling dirt, laying stone, and smoothing the edges so it blended naturally with the landscape. Each shovel of dirt, each handful of gravel, was a mark of independence, a small victory over bureaucracy and a hectic world that often told me what I could or couldn't do. Neighbors passing by often waved or stopped to comment on the progress. Children rode bikes along the edges of the path, their laughter echoing through the trees. The road quickly became more than just a path. It became a statement of ownership, of pride, and a tangible reminder that this was my land, and I could build on it as I saw fit. But as soon as I had completed the final stretch, the letters arrived. You are in violation of HOA regulations. Stop using the road immediately. A fine of $185 has been assessed. I reread it twice. 3 times, then I laughed out loud, my own land, and they were trying to charge me for the right to drive on it. The HOA president, Marjorie, soon followed with a personal visit. Clipboard in hand, heels clicking on the driveway, her expression full of anger and self-importance. She tried to assert authority as if the road were suddenly theirs. You've built this road illegally. She began, voice sharp and commanding. You need permits to use it, and you're endangering the community. I took a step back and studied her calmly. There was no panic in my body, no flustered response. I simply said, this road is on my property. I built it for my own use. I do not need your permission, and I will not be paying any fines. Her eyes narrowed. You will comply. This is a violation. I didn't argue. I let the quiet of the morning, the truth of my ownership, and the simplicity of my position speak louder than words. She had no legal basis, no right to issue fines, and yet she persisted, hoping to intimidate me into submission. Over the next few weeks, the threats escalated. Letters became more urgent, deadlines more aggressive, and fines multiplied in her paperwork, all for something she had no authority over. They tried to invent violations, unauthorized road construction, obstruction of community aesthetics, and even claims of safety hazards, without providing any real evidence. Instead of panicking or responding with anger, I documented everything meticulously. I photographed the road, the property markers, and even hired a surveyor to confirm beyond doubt that the land was mine. Every corner of the road, every stone, every inch belonged to me. When HOA representatives came to inspect the road, they arrived with clipboards, measuring tapes, and stern expressions, confident that their presence alone would intimidate me. I walked them along the path, calmly pointing out survey markers, property boundaries, and legal documents proving the road was fully within my land. You see, I said calmly, everything here is on my property. You have no authority to fine me or stop me from using it. The confidence in their eyes faltered. One member muttered under their breath, I didn't think anyone would actually challenge us. By the end of that visit, their bluster had evaporated, their threats had lost their power. And I realized that the road I had built was no longer just a path to my barn, it had become a battlefield. A simple stretch of gravel and dirt had turned into a symbol of standing firm, of resisting intimidation, and claiming what was mine by right. And I knew the showdown was only beginning. Because in the world of HOA, arrogance is common, and authority is often assumed rather than earned. But when someone knows their rights and refuses to back down, even the most confident bully can be brought to their knees. This was my land, this was my road, and I wasn't paying a single dime to be told otherwise. As the weeks passed, the tension escalated. The HOA wasn't used to being challenged, and I could feel their frustration growing with each unanswered threat. They sent letters, followed up with emails, and even made a few phone calls, each one dripping with authority they didn't actually possess. They tried everything, insisting that my road required permits, claiming that it was a hazard to community safety, and even attempting to levy additional fines, hoping intimidation would finally make me submit. But I remained calm, documenting everything meticulously. Every letter, every photo of the road, every property deed, and even the surveyor's report showing the boundaries of my land was filed and organized. I wasn't just defending my road. I was building an airtight case that no one could argue with. The real test came when they decided to escalate, sending a team to my property in person. 3 board members arrived on a sunny morning, clipboards in hand, faces set in stern authority. They expected confrontation, perhaps even submission, but they didn't anticipate my calm preparedness. As they walked the road, measuring, taking notes, muttering about regulations, I followed, pointing out the boundaries, showing them the survey markers, and explaining the legal documentation confirming the road was entirely on my property. "You see this?" I asked, gesturing to the property line clearly marked with posts. "Every inch of this road is mine. You cannot find me. You cannot dictate how I use my property." For a moment, the air was thick with tension. They exchanged nervous glances, the first cracks in their facade appearing. One of them, trying to regain composure, muttered, "Well, maybe we can just ignore it for now." I smiled calmly. I didn't need to raise my voice or threaten them. The truth spoke louder than their bluster. Every fabricated claim, every threat of fines, every claim of community danger began to crumble under the weight of evidence. Word began to spread through the neighborhood. Residents who had quietly questioned the HOA overreach came forward, sharing their stories and frustrations. They saw someone standing up to authority, someone refusing to be bullied, and it inspired them. Emails flew, complaints multiplied, and the HOA began to realize that their intimidation tactics were not only ineffective, but potentially illegal. My stand wasn't just about a road anymore. It was about principle, about property rights, and about proving that no organization, no matter how overbearing, could overstep the law without consequences. By the end of this stand-off, the board members left the property muttering under their breath, clearly shaken. The air of confidence they had arrived with was gone, replaced by unease and uncertainty. The road was mine, the land was mine, and the HOA had learned the hard way that arrogance and assumed authority could not prevail against preparation, knowledge, and determination. Weeks of tension, letters, and threats had finally come to an end. The HOA, once so confident and aggressive, had begun to crumble under the weight of the evidence I presented. Every claim they made about violations, community hazards, and required permits had been dismantled one by one. I remember the morning the final letter arrived. I unfolded it slowly, my hands steady. No fines, no penalties, no threats. Just a begrudging acknowledgement that the road I had built, every inch of it, was entirely within my property boundaries. They admitted implicitly that their previous claims had no legal standing. It felt surreal. Months of pressure, intimidation, and persistent harassment had been met with nothing but calm, meticulous preparation on my part. And now, finally, clarity and justice prevailed. That afternoon, I drove down the gravel path I had painstakingly constructed, sunlight glinting off the small stones, dust rising with each turn of the tires. The road wasn't just a path anymore. It was a symbol of resilience, independence, and unwavering determination. Each curve, each edge, represented a small victory over bureaucracy and arrogance. Neighbors waved as I passed. Some stopped to shake my hand, others simply nodded. eyes filled with admiration and relief. For years, they had seen the HOA wield authority with intimidation, unchecked and unchallenged. But they also saw what happens when someone refuses to back down when facts, evidence, and calm resolve confront arrogance head on. Even Marjorie, the HOA president who had tried to assert dominance, avoided eye contact when she drove past my property. I didn't need to gloat or confront her. The lesson had been learned. Arrogance, deceit, and intimidation crumble when faced with knowledge, preparation, and quiet determination. I spent the evening walking along the edges of the road, inspecting the gravel, the wooden markers, and the trees lining the path. It was mine, completely mine, and the satisfaction was profound. But the road wasn't just a personal victory. It became a story that spread through the neighborhood. A lesson for anyone who believed that authority could be claimed without justification. The HOA failed attempt to control me became a cautionary tale, a reminder that rights and truth always carry weight, even against those who try to bend rules for their own benefit. The freedom to use my own land, the peace of mind knowing I had stood my ground, and the respect earned from neighbors, these were victories no fine or letter could take away. In the end, the gravel road I built wasn't just a path from one point to another. It was a symbol of standing firm, a tangible reminder that knowledge is power, courage is strength, and perseverance always wins. The HOA learned their lesson. I didn't just defend a road, I defended my rights, my property, and my principle. And that lesson echoed far beyond the gravel path, touching everyone who had ever been challenged by false authority. Sometimes the simplest act, a road, a path, a boundary becomes the ultimate act of resistance. And on that sunny afternoon, as dust settled behind my tires and neighbors waved in quiet celebration, I knew one thing for certain. No amount of arrogance, bureaucracy, or intimidation could take away what is rightfully yours. The road was mine, the victory was mine, and freedom. Well, that was undeniable. Watch the full story, like, share, and subscribe for more HOA drama. This video is a dramatized, AI-generated story created for entertainment purposes only.